Hey guys, it is Mindez here with a part 0 of Commando. As ever, part 0 being your opportunity to get some first impressions and see some gameplay on recently released indie games. I really should rename this series to have indie in the title and just let the views roll in, but you know, whatever. Commando, an indie game from Goodbye Galaxy Games. It was released on the 9th of May here in Europe, or the 25th of April over in America. This is a DSiWare indie puzzle platformer for DSi and 3DS that involves kind of picking up paint and using it to try and colour in your enemies. That's not really a very accurate description, but we'll get into some gameplay in a little while. I've been spending quite a bit of time on the 3DS eShop over the last few days anyway, so I expect quite a few 3DS eShop Part Zeros over the coming weeks. So anyway, this game. I have some kind of good things and bad things to say about it as we take a look at it. There are two things right off the bat that should be pretty evident from the title screen. Firstly, the wrong version of colour in the title. Now, we all know it's a cardinal sin for any game ILP to use American spelling and localization, so instant 1-star rating! Okay, maybe not. The other main gripe is that, of course, pretty much all of the text in this game is Comic Sans, which is really great. I know there's this whole internet thing about, oh, Comic Sans, that's terrible, never use Comic Sans, but it's kind of true. It just looks so jarring and cheap, and I guess it's to fit in with the kind of paint, childish theme, but it makes the whole thing look very cheap, and that's really not an impression in a game that, you know, costs real money. This game costs £1.79. I'm not sure what the regional equivalent is for America, but I think that's a choice that of font type that's just not really indicative of quality in a game. Anyway, let's get over that. And let's actually start getting into the actual gameplay of the game. So as you can see, there are 5 worlds. Although the first world is really just a tutorial world, so in reality there are kind of 4 worlds, each with 5 levels each. 4 levels, in each world 4 levels unlock normally. Let's go into world 2 here. 4 levels unlock normally, and the 5th level is unlocked when you get all of the coins in the first 4 levels. So far the game has been very much on the very easy side. I've died a couple of times in my time playing it. I've only really been playing it for about 15 minutes. I've died a couple of times playing it, but I don't think I've ever actually died twice in one level, so it's always been through like not thinking far enough ahead or something like that. One thing I will point out though, I said I'd only been playing for about 15 minutes, and I've already finished Worlds 2 and 3. And I've done a little bit of World 4, so 15 minutes and I'm over half the game. This is not a game that's really going to be a massive amount of time, but what there is actually pretty interesting and polished. So let's go ahead and get into one of the actual games, you know, 3 minutes into this part 0. Let's finally look at some gameplay. Let's look at World 2, Level 3. So as you can see, you're this character, you can move left and right. You can't jump or anything. That is pretty much all you can do is just move left and right. And the main strength of this game lies in the paint gimmick. So we just picked up a piece of purple paint, and we can use the purple paint on that enemy, and it kind of washes him out into the background. So this enemy will no longer hurt us. And if the enemy's standing still, then that's just fine and dandy. You know, he will never do damage to us. And that's pretty much the crux of the game right there. That pretty much describes pretty much every level. You gotta collect the paint you can collect. Let's try level 4. You gotta collect all the paint you can actually collect, and once you've collected all the paint you can actually collect, put it somewhere, and then try and get to the treasure. The concept's very simple, and I really do think that there is quite a lot more they probably could have done with the concept. And this is really one of my main gripes. Like I've mentioned that the game is way too short. My other main gripe is that the game doesn't really do much with the mechanic, or at least it hasn't yet. I mean, pretty much what you're seeing now is the game. And that's what you're going to have for like maybe 30, 40 minutes. So let's get into one more level that let's actually do a level I've not done before. I unlocked the 5th level of World 3, but I never actually did it. So World 3 was kind of the cave level. And it introduced these like flying enemies, these flying bats. So there is a little bit of enemy variety, but not a great deal. You've got enemies that stand still, you've got enemies that walk, you've got enemies that fly up and down. That's pretty much the only thing that there is. Man, that pink paint pellet's going to be difficult to get. Also, how do you get that coin in the top right? Can you not just fall off to get that coin? I have very much no idea how you would get that coin in the top right, because I don't appear to be able to nudge it with my head, so... Well, that's a mystery to everybody. This pink paint pellet, though, is dangerous. No. That is not how you get that pink paint pellet. That's kind of interesting, puzzle to kind of try and get... I say puzzle kind of loosely, but it's kind of an interesting, gameplay element to have to try and time myself around this guy at the bottom. Of course, falling from that distance is very difficult to actually time yourself with something, but I guess I will get the timing eventually. And then, you know, it's like it's kind of ironic, really, because I did say that I had never actually had any problems getting with a level. I'd never really died more than once, and now here I come onto a level I've not done, and it just happens to be the first one that I actually die multiple times on. I promise I was a lot better in this when I wasn't recording. I swear, officer. So yeah, that coin in the top right really eludes me. I'm not entirely sure how I would do that. I need to figure out the timing on this guy. Right, let's look at this. Let's look at this objectively. As soon as I get this thing, let's have a look. Let's have a little bit of a research into his timing. So he moves back and forth. What if I go when he's like on the far right? No. I need to go when he's in the middle, moving left, I think. So no. That's better. But seriously, how do I get this this coin? I don't know. Let's just go ahead and beat the level anyway. So this is going to be dangerous, or maybe it's not. That's fine. So the levels themselves are not difficult by any stretch of the imagination, and I don't believe in the last couple of worlds that they're going to get that difficult. It's like I say, like, I look at this game and I think there is so much potential that they could have done. Like, they could have had, like, mixing of colours. They could have had, the colours in some way, the paint in some way, like, affecting the landscape. Like, the paint kind of does sort of affect the landscape. I'll actually show that off real quick. Because that's something that it's something that like they introduced, but it's never really come up as being that necessary. So I need to find a level. First, I need to find a level on which I can do this. Okay, this level should be possible. So if I grab this pink paint over here, I can actually use it on that wall, and the enemy will be able to walk through that wall. This is something that I've used in the tutorial level, and since then I've probably not done it at all. So it's like they kind of forgot about some mechanics, and it's like they have a lot of potential in this mechanic, but they've not really used it to their full extent, is what I'm feeling at the moment. Well, could it change in the last two worlds? Absolutely. Could it change a lot in the last two worlds? Like, to the point that we actually have things like mixing of colours, and we have things like, paint affecting the actual terrain? Probably, almost definitely not. And that's kind of sad. It's a good idea, and I would say this game is definitely fun while it lasts, and it's kind of telling that, like, my main problem with the game is that the game just doesn't go far enough and that I want to play more of it. And that signifies a good game and a good idea, but a little bit lacking in execution, and that ultimately is my opinion on Color Commando. So if you think the game looks decent, and it looks like something you want to play, then I would recommend picking it up from either the 3DS eShop or the DSi eShop. It is available for £1.79 on the 3DS eShop, or 200 Nintendo points. I don't entirely know what the value of that is, but 200 Nintendo points on the DSi. And that has been a look at the indie game Color Commando, which has a much cooler name than it's... You're not even a commando. Like, this is just blatant false advertising. See you guys.